Hi folks, welcome to our 9th edition of Drive Chat. Following on from our colloquium which we held in Transport Month, the theme of which was Driving the Influence, we invited many role players, several of which were from the alcohol industry, to come and share their thoughts and views. Following on from that, we agreed to do a Drive Chat with each of the companies involved. And today we have with us Bongani. He is from Heineken, so I'm going to ask him to just share with us what his role is, and then we're going to discuss a few things that relate to the alcohol industry. So Bongani, who are you and what do you do at Heineken?
So my name, as you said, it's Bongani Semenya. I'm a corporate affairs specialist for Heineken South Africa. So I look after harm reduction and a lot of campaigns that we do.
Thank you for that background. So now I'm going to pose a question. It's a term that's new to me, LONO. What does that stand for?
So LONO or no low means no alcohol and low alcohol.
Okay.
So meaning it's a category of no alcohol, which is Heineken 0.0, as well as low alcohol, which is we had Amstel Radler, which was 3%, as well as Windhoek Light, which was just under 3% in terms of alcohol by volume.
Okay, so your Heineken 0.0 falls into this category then.
Yes.
What's your response to the fact that some people would say that that is a gateway to the heavier stuff?
Yeah. So we have obviously all of those criticism within the industry where people think when you introducing a 0.0 range, you want to get people to obviously graduate to the actual alcohol, which is, it's not necessarily true. It's not true at all. We're just giving people a healthy alternative, because there are people who drink beer but do not drink alcohol. So there's a difference there. We also understand the mere fact that alcohol is an enabler to a lot of social ills that are associated in our country, especially South Africa, because we are high on the list of a lot of alcohol abuse and binge drinking. But as an alcohol industry, we get blamed a lot for all of those things. And yes, to your question, it's that there are things that we do as alcohol to bring in awareness, and I'm sure there's a lot that we can do in the future to educate more about people.
I'm glad you admit to the fact that there's more that can be done, but that's true of everybody. I just use this analogy because clearly we do business with the alcohol industry. We train drivers for them, etc. One of the challenges that I've always related to is that OEMs who make fast cars kill people.
Definitely.
But it's not the car that's to blame, it's the driver. 100%. So I imagine it's, in your case, it's the person who's drinking the alcohol that we relate to the problem. Okay, let's just talk to the efficacy of campaigns that are driven by the industry at large. What's your view on how effective they are? Should they be different? Some of them, and I think one of yours is a really shocking one, where a guy, was yours where he goes to prison and he waits for what's going to come, or was that another one?
Yeah, I think it's another company.
Okay, right. But the one who's Kimi, on the Formula One. Just tell us how effective these are.
So when it comes to the impact and effectiveness of campaigns, it's also very difficult to tell and measure. But the important thing, how we sort of view it as an industry, we sort of look at the talkability around, obviously, our campaign where we have a global F1 racer who is very popular.
Yes.
And obviously once people see that he refuses to drink and drive, it drives the messaging.
Yeah, okay.
And the people who are his fans are able to understand that as much as he's a famous Formula One racer, but he takes accountability and he refuses to drink and drive. So it sort of did the rounds and it was trending and people sort of loved it. So we could see with a lot of people sort of know that ad and are starting to talk about it and starting to engage in not drinking and driving, especially when it's not personality.
I assume that was no pun intended, to drive the message, eh? Okay, so let's just talk, there are others that do different themes to yourselves.
Yes.
What's made you choose your particular theme, and why do you find that effective? You've covered it partially, but a little bit more information.
So there's a lot that we do. It's When You Drink and Never Drive campaign with Heineken. So we make sure that people, every time they behind the steering wheel, they do not think of alcohol. So there's also another ad that we are doing where the guy passes on the keys to one of the guys to make sure that he does not drive his car. So it's important that we drive those messaging and make sure that our consumers out there understand the dangers of drinking and driving, because it's something that we rebuke.
Okay. I've got two other questions, and then one of them is a bit of I didn't warn you, so you can plead ignorance if you like. The challenge that the industry has with younger people drinking at school or after school, they've got no adult supervision. How do you think that could or should be addressed?
So I think there are a lot of education on that. It's actually driven by aware.org, because us as alcohol industries, we're not allowed, by law to advertise to children, especially under the age of 18, which has the potential to be increased to under 21. So yes, that we do not encourage any young person to actually drink alcohol at all. So we totally against that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Just to repeat that, aware.org,
Yes.
they are responsible for driving these messages, and I've looked at their website,
Yes.
that teaches the dangers to younger generation of imbibing alcohol, correct?
100%.
Okay, that's aware.org. Eh?
Aware.org.
All right, thank you. So there's a question to you, and then I'm going to follow it up with a further question. Is you engage with authorities, law enforcement agencies. Can you speak to what you do there, and if it's proving to meet your standards and being successful?
Yeah, so we have a lot of partnerships and collaborations with law enforcement, like the Johannesburg Metro Police, Durban Metro departments, obviously to drive the don't drink and drive messaging. So the partnership seems to be sort of working purely because when the voice of an authority is heard through government, or government institutions, it sort of it lands on the ears, So people start understanding the voice, versus when it comes for us as an industry, alcohol industry players, because it will seem as if we're driving volumes, or we promoting our brand. So at least when it comes from a government official, so it sort of makes more sense, and it sounds
Any
better.
campaigns for December? We know that people drink and drive and they do all stupid things. Any campaigns that you have running for December?
Yes, actually we have a nice one this time around. It's called Sfika Sonke Road Safety Campaign. So Sfika Sonke means we all arrive.
Okay.
So this time around we have partnered with it's the forecourt guys, which are Total and Shells. So we're targeting two routes, which is the one from Joburg to Polokwane N1, as well as N4 to N12 to N4 in Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be driving a lot of awareness, and we actually incentivizing drivers to tackle three things, and most importantly, not to drink and drive. Number two, not to speed. And thirdly, which is the last one, is to take regular breaks, because that is important.
Good. How do you measure the success of that campaign?
So that's a good question, because in the past we've always been asked that question: how do you measure campaigns? How do you measure? So this time around we're using an app system that drivers are able to download onto their phones, smartphones, and that actually measures their journey time, because as we're using actually three pit stops for the guys to get to their destination. So they populate an app, and then obviously they're given their details, car registration, their destination. So that tells us whether the driver was speeding, right?
Okay.
Because obviously
He's arrived in 2 hours in Polokwane.
100%. So we're trying to make sure that they do not speed,
Okay.
they do not drink. We use our portable breathalyzers from our promoters to just test if they've been drinking or not in each pit stop, as well as obviously use the app to measure if they've been speeding or not. Okay. And if they tick all the three boxes, they've taken the regular break, they're not speeding, and they're not drinking, we give them gifts in each of the pit stop until they get to their destination. And then we are able to get the numbers if we've taken across to the destination about obviously 50. So the target is about 2,000 people this festive season in 2 routes.
Here's an invitation. When the festive season is gone, I'd like to interview you again and find out those results. My last question is a rhetorical one.
Yep.
So I trust your answer is going to agree with mine. We put out a pledge, driving the influence. You have taken it. Notice it's rhetorical.
Yep.
Have you encouraged all the people in Heineken to do so? And I do trust that you're pushing it as far afield as possible, because that's our campaign running until the festive season. Bongani, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you a good festive season, and may the initiatives that you're showing now make a difference at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.